A lot of people email me about networking for career search, job changes, profession changes. And so this last segment, what we're going to be talking about is job search and how it's changing. We're also going to be talking about the ask and how to make the ask. Now, if you've been following some of the networking advice, you obviously are going to be more authentic in your approach, more focused, more passionate. Maggie, for instance, I know that you're really interested in the tech space. You probably will have made a list and identified the companies that you're interested in. But doing the pre-planning, doing the research is going to help you be more effective and more productive. So we're going to spend about 10 minutes going just through kind of some top-line tips and ideas. Then I have a great associate who I've met through the technology and the startup space in San Francisco who'll be joining us and giving us some insight and expertise. So here we go. So with the job search, there's a lot of things that I think are really important. Lisa, in the last interview, she was talking about quality materials. And I have had the great fortune of interviewing many, many people over the years, and I can't tell you how many typos I see. So, I really want people to think about when they're presenting themselves, think like a marketer. Think about, is your subject line in your email something that people are going to open? Is your communication typo-free? Is the subject line, witty or interesting? Consider the target. Companies are different, and there's going to be different approaches that are going to work at different companies. For example, one story that's in the book is about a woman who secured a job at Zozy. It's an adventure experience online site where they send out emails and, to go kayaking and have fun. So the tonality and kind of the feeling of that company is more playful and more youthful than perhaps a company that is more traditional or, finance oriented. So if you're writing something, think about, who am I writing it to? Who is going to be reading this? The story in the book is about a woman who wrote an email to the CEO of Zozy, and she was a PR person, and she had so much passion for the company that she ended up getting hired without an interview. Like, crazy things are happening. In emails, when you're trying to do job search, even if you're just doing informational interviews, have a specific ask. Ask for the coffee date. Ask for, are there two people that you can introduce me to in this space? A lot of people are not bringing the specifics to the conversation, so we've talked a lot about that. Make sure you're doing that. I've talked a lot about LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about LinkedIn with Bill also, but it's a great tool now that both internal companies are using a lot to figure out who they can be searching and researching for, and also externally recruiters are using it. So don't forget about the power of LinkedIn. Even one of you in this group, I won't point you out, but somebody had called it, oh yeah, Google found me on LinkedIn and sent me an email. So right now there is a shift where more and more jobs are being filled based on social media profiles, on internal connections, on internal referrals. And so your power of your network is becoming greater and greater. It's no longer a classified ad search. I don't know if you guys recall that, but I do remember in my youth sitting there circling ads in the classifieds, right? And then I'd go to the library and research the company, and then I'd type up a letter, and I'd use the whiteout to fix the letter, and then I kept a file. So things have completely transformed and changed. Once you've identified those contacts, make sure that your resume on LinkedIn is strong and solid. One that I can recommend that I think is a good profile is Kelly Huey is a contact of mine, H-O-E-Y. It's just a good example where it's not too long, but it's a combination of very specific accomplishments, but then she also uses the functionality on LinkedIn where you can add presentations, you can add videos. So LinkedIn isn't just text-based anymore. So she has a great profile, and one that I would recommend if you want a sample to look at. Another thing that's happening is that depending on the field that you're in, there are a lot of other ways to get resumes across. So there are some people that are opening up doors with, slide shares, or maybe it's a video. One woman that I hired at Virgin America actually sent me a boarding pass that had her name on it and had, specific interests on it. And that broke through the clutter. So, sometimes you need to do things a little bit differently, be unique. But make sure that you're really thinking about, again, the fit and the tonality of the company. Consider if you know anyone at the company. Maggie, especially with you, I was thinking about you last night with your interest in moving into the technology space, the first step is identifying which companies you're interested in. Then you start digging further. Do I know anyone that's connected to that company? Do I know anyone that I went to high school with that's there? Do I know anyone in college? Sort through as many of your contacts and really dig that layer and figure out, is there a way that I can get more information? Can I get an inside track? Because the inside track is going to be much faster than the anonymous one. So I can't wait to hear if you do have some goal companies so we can help support you with that. Do your homework. Again, so many times I would get people that were emailing me or writing me where, I'm interested in finding out if there are any jobs at Virgin Atlantic. Well, I work for Virgin America, and Virgin Atlantic is in the UK. So make sure that you are asking the right person the right thing. Spelling their name wrong, that would happen all the time. Mr. PorterGale, I'm so excited to send you this communication. So think about that. Another thing, kind of a theme that we've been having over the past 2 days is not to let the no's stop you. And especially for the people that are watching online, I did get some emails last night, really asking, if you're in a career change and you're trying to really change positions or industries, if you're not a 20-year-old that's coming out of college, what advice do you have? And I think that you have to kind of follow the path of inspiration and learn from the no's, keep moving forward. And we've heard it from people like Shira. She had stumbling blocks, she kept moving forward. So if you really are passionate about the technology blogging that you're doing, you're really passionate about building your events and bringing it to the next level, don't let those little setbacks stop you. It's critical. Handwritten notes, we've talked about that, people sending follow-ups that are unexpected. It can have a huge impact. I mean, I have had people send me, a fruit basket where I'm just like blown away. I can't believe it. So try to do things where the phrase I would use with my team at Virgin America was fighting mediocrity. Raise the bar in your interaction with people, follow up, thank them for the connections, make sure they recognize that you're grateful for their time, and really take the high road. It's also, if you want to consider having your own website domain address, so that if you're positioning yourself as a consultant, you might want a website address that is, teresavargo.com. Also making sure that you have business cards. These are all things that they may seem standard, but a lot of times people forget the details where they're not able to give their information quickly or be memorable. So make sure that you're doing that. Another thing that I recommend to people is really kind of going through some prospecting exercises. So again, long list, and these are all exercises that are in the book. But looking online, there are some sites, and it's going to have to be industry specific. And so depending on what industry you're in, there's one called The Ladders that sends out a lot of marketing and content. But look to see if there are any online sites that are posting jobs in your industry and field. Update your LinkedIn profile, update your resume, your bio. Try to get some references that that you can always turn to if you need them. So make sure that you have somebody that is both a higher level, somebody that's managed you, and maybe somebody that you've managed if you've been in a supervisory role, because often people are asking now for 360-degree reviews. Tell me somebody that you've worked with and somebody that has worked for you. I want to interview them. So think about that, and think about that now at your current position, because 6 months from now, a year from now, those relationships that you have here, and you'll probably, if you're working at Creative Live, you're going to be here for a long time. No one's leaving because it's a great place to be. But these relationships are the formation of your future network. So really recognize the power of that. Do a Google search on yourself and see what you find. If you don't find a lot of content, a really easy way to get more content about yourself is to start posting on Google+. Google+ goes very quickly into the search algorithm, and images will start popping up. So for example, health and wellness, Teresa, I know that you're interested in that space. If you started posting some blogs on Google+ or some images that convey the sense of health and wellness and community and gatherings, those images are going to come up really quickly in a Google search and going to show more credibility as you're trying to build your business base. So do your Google search. Send an email to your trusted friends if you are looking for opportunities. Time and time again, if people don't know that you're looking or that you're in need, how do they know how to support you? So I did tell you the example of the Virgin America job when I had lost my job at the ad agency, and it was, one of those pivotal moments where I thought I need to find something. And the way that I ended up getting the lead was through somebody in my network. I had emailed, 10 or 15 people that I really had strong relationships with and said, here's the situation, the place that I'm working is closing. I would really appreciate it if you keep me in mind. If you hear of anything, let me know. So think about who are the people in your network that you can turn to and ask them about that. Your funnel test, you guys did your funnel test yesterday, but think about that. Are you going towards positions and jobs that actually are in line with your passions, your purpose, and what you want to do? Because that's going to come through. If you've had a bunch of characteristics that are in one area, and then you're going for a job that totally doesn't fit, you might have a disconnect, and people are going to be able to tell. So really think about that. Conferences, even events like this, can be really powerful. Alea, I am going to put you on the spot because you just said to me that meeting Lisa was one of your dream contacts.
Absolutely.
So you had no idea that you were going to come here to Creative Live and meet her. So tell me about that and why that's a good contact for you.
I mean, like I mentioned, I've been a blogger for a really long time, and so I'm familiar with BlogHer. I went to the conference a couple of years ago, and it's a big, production put together well. People love it, and they come year after year. And then she's also, a businesswoman and a professional, and as someone who's building my own conference and a community around that, BlogHer is an example of that to, like the nth degree. So sitting here and hearing her speak and then getting a chance to connect with her one-on-one was just amazing and just like the perfect connection.
That's great. And what I love about that is yesterday in your goals, I heard you say that you wanted to elevate and reach up. Mm-hmm. And the interaction that I saw you two having was very equivalent and respectful. And it was two peers saying, hey, let's connect and get together. And so, enjoy that and give yourself the benefit of what you've already created and applaud yourself that you now have a new contact, right?
Yeah, it was great.
And I believe I heard her say, can I get your connection? Wasn't it Lisa asking for your information?
She did. It was, I was like, wait, what is this happening right now? It was a really great moment and a fantastic experience.
Good, good. So I love that. So don't undersell yourself, don't minimize yourself, raise the bar, go for things that are beyond your reach, like push it. And what's the worst thing that can happen, right? A no, and then you keep moving forward. Alumni associations are really important, and if you have had the good fortune of being attached to a college, don't forget the benefit of that. Carrie, I think you were saying you're going to a reunion.
Yes, I think it's the 2nd of August.
Will you send us an email and let us know how that goes?
I'll take pictures just to prove it.
Okay, yeah. For those of you that are online that are watching, if there is somebody that's still in college or they're in positions where they have breaks, one thing that you can do while you're in college, instead of taking that spring break, get experience by asking to job shadow someone. Can you go to work with someone? Look at all those moments like spring break as a productivity opportunity. You can go beyond internships now and make connections in that downtime. Volunteer in your industry, read all the industry trades. Again, at our fingertips, we have so much information. So if you do have the good fortune where you get the coffee or you get the interview, make sure that you're prepared. We've talked a lot about today's intern being tomorrow's CEO, and I bet Bill will tell us about that. With a lot of the startup community, we've got very young CEOs in town, and so make sure that you're really respectful to all the contexts. Make sure that you are dressing appropriately for the environments that you're going to. There's a different wardrobe in a lot of different environments. Here in San Francisco, it might be one set of dress codes. New York may be another. Little things like being on time. I have had so many people show up for interviews where they're 15 minutes late and it was traffic. And it's like, don't let that happen. Do not be late to your interview. I don't care if you have to leave an hour early and then sit at the coffee shop across the street. Being respectful of people's time shows your interest in your professionalism. So just make sure that you're really following up and having good manners and skills with all your interviewing and prospecting. Talk to listen ratio. We talked a little bit about that earlier. I want to give you one example of a story that's in the book, how a gentleman ended up securing a position via a creative use of email. Robin Sloan, who is now an author and a media strategist, this was back in 2004. He started hearing about Current TV, and he thought, wow, that sounds fascinating. I really want to work at Current TV. And I talked to Robin about this later on, and he said he was, just coming out of college. He was in Florida, and he was so passionate, and he really knew that he wanted to work there. Like, that was it. He wanted to work at Current TV. And his whole thought was that if he sent a resume, that it would just blindly go into the clutter box and he would never get through. So what Robin did was he actually found out who the co-founder was. It was Al Gore and Joel Hyatt co-founded this television network. He found an email for Joel that was publicly listed as a Stanford email, and he decided that he was going to send him one business idea a day. So he said, hello, my name is Robin Sloan, and I'm interested in your company because of this, and I'm going to send you an idea a day. So he started doing this, but the ideas were ideas that demonstrated he could add value, that he was very smart in the space, he was doing his homework, and it was also done in a way where, the tonality of it didn't feel like he was a stalker. So I interviewed both Joel and Robin on both sides of the story to see, well, Joel, what were you thinking? He said, well, I could tell that he had good ideas, and so the content was there, the thinking was there. And Robin, because he was so passionate about it, he thought, I'm going on a road trip. I'm going to go visit my parents in Michigan. I'm turning left, and I'm going to California. And basically, in the last note, it was like day 29, he said, Mr. Hyatt, I'm going to be in San Francisco, and I'd like to take you for coffee. And he said, well, sure, that would be great. Why are you here in San Francisco? And he said, well, I'm here because I'm coming to work for you. And so by this point, he had sent 30 great ideas in. He ended up securing the meeting, demonstrating his passion, and he got his foot in the door and had, a successful career, and then went off to Twitter and has done a lot of interesting things in the media space. But that is success that's not happening overnight, right? He's putting in the energy, he's putting in the creativity, he's putting in the time, and he's really going for it. So with that, I really want you to think about if you are looking for a new position or a new company, a new job, just like you have the list where we've talked about what we're passionate about, what's your dream job? What kind of environment do you think you would excel at? What are the wish lists of haves and have-nots? Is it commuting? Is it family friendly? Is it someplace where there's a lot of collaboration? Think about what you're looking for and how you can add value to those scenarios.